come on, let's be honest. The problem is that he is black. That is what the problem that Charlie Kirk has is. Well, I've got some other stuff that's more than a little interesting here. Did you know that a flood happened in Texas and it's killed a lot of people? And did you know that instead of blaming, I don't know, his god who controls floods, Charlie Kirk is deciding to blame DEI? I don't even know. I don't even know how you get to that point. Also, Sephi, is your question about Magic the Gathering night? Because I have not had any time. I apologize.
No state or federal ease for a state of national mourning, as we should be. And the Democrats, they're so despicable. The Democrats are not lifting a finger to remember the well over 100 people that have died in Texas Hill Country.
I'm just curious, what would lifting a finger to remember them look like? And who are the Democrats here? Like, is it all the Democrats? Like, do you need 100% of the people in Democratic office on the local level and on the federal level to do this? Because, like, I'm fairly certain that I can find, with a quick search, just on Twitter or some shit, Democrat people, voters or otherwise, constituency or Congress people, who are actually mourning what happened. Pretty certain I can find that.
What you are not being told by the media anywhere is that the death toll likely would not have been as high if it wasn't for DEI.
You know why I haven't heard that anywhere else, Charlie? You know why that's not an opinion that I've heard anywhere but your show? Because it's bullshit, and you're trying to find the unique angle for your bullshit.
This Texas tragedy is just the latest example. It's not just incompetence. This is DEI working to undermine meritocratic institutions, and more people likely died than otherwise would have because of DEI. Let me prove
okay, you know what? Give it a fucking shot, I guess.
Prove it to you. In 2014, the Obama administration sued the Austin Fire Department, about 11 years ago, fire union, for supposed racial discrimination, resulting in a settlement. So the Obama administration was so worried that the fire department in Austin, Texas was racist, because, you know, when you're putting out fires, you got to make sure that you have a diverse fighting force.
You know, Charlie, do you know what happens if you have a group of people that refuse to hire any black people? Like, if that's actually a thing that they actively do, you know what happens when a black person's home gets caught on fire? They're less likely to fight that fire, because an organization that will actively do everything in their power to not hire black people is also very likely to not do everything in their power to help them, because one of these actions is a red flag towards the other. If somebody is generally racist about Jewish people, we tend to call them an anti-Semite, and it is a safe bet to assume that they will engage in other anti-Semitic behavior given the chance. If an organization that is meant to protect people has non-inclusive hiring practices, it is more likely that they are going to have non-inclusive protective practices as well.
All jokes aside, well, the pressure was on the city to prove its diversity credentials. So a few years later, they picked Joel Baker as their first black fire chief.
Okay, so what the fuck does that have to do with anything? You now have to prove that the color of his skin is why a flood killed more people?
He announced right away that promoting diversity is one of his top priorities.
Okay.
They brought him in from Atlanta.
Okay.
And his priority was not putting out fires or being prepared for floods. No, his priority...
Did you know that him saying something in a statement that is meant to be good and forward-facing for the public does not mean that he's not... It doesn't mean that he's not going to prioritize the other things as well, right? Like, I'm sorry, what level of... God, what's the word for it? When you can only listen to the exact words that are being said and not assume anything else past that. Like, I know that there are neurodivergent people that have trouble with that, but there's got to be a word for that specifically. I know that it's a form of taking something in bad faith when you're doing it deliberately as opposed to just being unable to read in between the lines, but I am struggling to figure out what the word would be for it. Somebody in my comment section or somebody in the chat will likely be able to find out. But if somebody is head of a fire department, you don't go up on a podium and say, my job's gonna be putting out fires. And I'm gonna do a damn good job at putting out fires. Like, no, you're gonna tell people whatever they need to hear at the time because there are certain things that are assumed in your job. You get up as a police officer, I'm gonna fight all the crime. No fucking duh, that's what we hired you to do. You suck at it, but it's what we hired you to do. Jasta says obtuse. I mean, I'm thinking something more specific, though, because, like, obviously he's being obtuse. Obviously, Charlie Kirk? Yeah, Charlie Kirk. Sorry, I couldn't tell. It's very hard to see his face. Yes, he's being obtuse. Yes, he's being negligent and willfully stupid and a dick and all those things. But, again, I'm getting stuck on specifics for a thing.
Was to make sure that the fire department was blacker. Play cut 347.
This two-time fire chief wants to make a difference in the growing city of Austin and tells us he wants to start by bringing in more diversity.
It's important that the Austin Fire Department, as much as we can, reflect the community which we serve.
But when you hire people based on race, you're not hiring based on skill. So
again, that's not what DEI is. That's not what DEI actually is. DEI does not say, oh, we have a white person who's very qualified and a black person who's unqualified, so hire the black person. Like, that's not what it fucking does. That's not what it is. DEI is an organizational framework that promotes initiatives that aim to have more fair treatment and full participation of all people, especially those who have been historically underrepresented or subjected to discrimination. It does not mean that you're just ticking boxes to meet a racial quota. That's not what it is. The only reason there's a backlash against DEI is that it is one of those things that can be misconstrued so easily, and the right runs away with that because they function best with an uneducated populace. Guitar Rocker said, that's it, that's the whole clip, nothing wrong was said there. Yeah, there was nothing wrong said there at all. There was nothing in that clip that I could have used to assume that DEI caused more people to die from a flood.
Right now, Baker is facing a vote of no confidence by his union for, this is the key, for denying the pre-deployment of resources to Kerrville, Texas. Now, Kerrville is in Texas Hill Country, which is west of Austin. Austin has a monster fire department, and so his union, they wanted to pre-deploy resources to Kerrville, Texas. But Baker apparently didn't act because of budgetary concerns. Well, the only problem, the Austin Fire Department is fully reimbursed by the state of Texas for such deployments. They tried explaining this to him, but he didn't quite comprehend the idea of reimbursement. I don't think he knew the word reimbursement.
Okay, so I'm just curious, Charlie, are you a freaking idiot? Are you actually a moron? Like, do you actually believe that this man does not understand that word, or are you just assuming that your audience believes that black people are largely unqualified and largely stupid, and therefore are less likely to understand big white person words? Because that's what it seems like. So, MSN actually has an article on this right now. In a social media post by the association on Monday, firefighters claimed that they were not allowed to respond to the disaster under Baker's direction. The post, according to Kazan News, described Baker's actions as an egregious dereliction of duty and announced that it would meet on Tuesday to discuss whether to take a vote of no confidence in Baker. The association's president, Bob Nix, claimed that the state requested assistance from Austin more than a day ahead of July 4th, where the flooding began. Baker pushed back on these claims, saying that he was made aware of the request on July 4th and had deployed rescue swimmers to the area at the time. Wow, that's different, Charlie. Those are different words than the words you used. That's super strange. Why did you have to use different words that meant something entirely fucking different? Why did you have to say that, oh, well, he didn't deploy anything at all, when his literal claim is actually, no, I deployed rescue swimmers there at period. Baker told Kazan News that he needed to ensure Austin would have the resources to respond to any emergency events in the city, adding that local crews should not self-dispatch without coordination, and confirmed that the department did provide additional support in the days after July 4th. Austin Mayor Kirk Watson took to X on Tuesday to condemn Bob Nix's claims, stating that he supported Baker and the department's efforts. Bob Nix defended his accusations, pointing to an email that indicated officials had turned down deployment as a standing order due to Austin's looming budget crisis and concerns about reimbursement for deployments. When asked about the email, Baker said he believed the email caused confusion, that it meant to convey the department's needs to do a better job in our reimbursement, and said that budget challenges had nothing to do with his decisions. Wow, that's almost exactly opposite of what Charlie Kirk said. That's weird that the guy who actually made the decisions said that it had nothing to do with the budget, and Charlie Kirk is claiming that he said that it had everything to do with the budget. That's weird. That's that's a weird one. I don't know what to think about that one. That's a strange weird. Iggy Biggy Boo says he literally sent what he could while ensuring that he kept enough resources to keep Austin, Texas safe. Seems to be the case. Charlie Kirk then took the accusations and amplified them, arguing that it wasn't just Baker's incompetence, but also the fact that he was black. There's words here that say Initiative for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, but come on, let's be honest. The problem is that he is black. That is what the problem that Charlie Kirk has is. In what he claimed was a dangerous way, DEI caused this. Baker became Austin's first black fire chief after his appointment in December of 2018. Yeah, and then here's the part where he says, I don't think he quite understood the word reimbursement. You see, when you hire... Oh, well, actually, we can just listen to him say these words right here.
They sat down, they said, sir, this will be reimbursed. And according to reports, he didn't understand it. The head of the Austin Fire Union, this is not me making up, said, quote, I explained the reimbursement process to Chief Baker last week, and he failed to understand this very simple concept. You have to also wonder, there's another piece of tape here that we're going to play of the Democrats also saying that Camp Mystic was too white. Literally, they said, oh, Camp Mystic was too light. Other Democrat influencers are laughing and making light and fun of this online, saying, well, all those Christian girls praying to Jesus, Jesus didn't save them. This is the state of the wretched...
No, Charlie, you don't understand. You don't understand. Or maybe you do understand, but here, let me explain. So, in a world, Charlie, you dumb motherfucker, in a world where you have Christian pastors and right-wing influencers who say the same tired shit all the time, that when a tornado comes somewhere, it's God's wrath against the gays. When a flood happens somewhere or an earthquake happens somewhere, it's God's wrath against the gays. Why is it that you get to celebrate those deaths and then immediately get your panties in a twist when somebody says the exact opposite, which is, wow, it's a shame that all of those prayers towards God didn't do anything to the Christian camp. It didn't protect the Christian camp from God's wrath. Y'all are the ones who have been toting the narrative about these natural disasters being God's wrath against the gays for so fucking long. And the absolute nanosecond that you get a little bit of your own medicine, you become the whiniest little bitch. Charlie, you are a whiny little bitch. And I am glad your face is eternally recessing into the bowels of whatever the hell is on top of your shoulders. The Flash, let's see here. How many people unnecessarily died because of DEI? Well, you can rest easy to say that diversity is our strength, and now those little girls are dead, Kirk said. Those families are without their daughters, but hey, you've got a black fire chief. You should be happy about that. Why is it about him being black? You fucking discount Nick Fuentes. Axo says, it feels like he's implying you're either not white or you're Christian, though. Axo says, why are two white and Christian feeling off here? I don't know. I don't know. It's Charlie Kirk. It's Charlie Kirk. There's very little we can do about a situation like this. Like, obviously, if you live in Texas, you have the ability to use 5 calls to talk to your representatives and see what they can do about trying to back people who are being backlashed by Charlie Kirk, of all people. Oy, oy, oy. Jet fatigue, what are you talking about there? Who is she? She waited 72 hours before approving the funds? I don't know who she is here. Biggie Boo says, victim complex goes hard with Christians, but their faith is one of the 3 biggest religions on the planet. Yep. Yep. Jesus. I'm curious here. Let's see here. I do not like the New York Times. I don't. But let's see how this is reported on by them. Just for curiosity's sake. Camp Mystic, a girls' camp along the river where at least 27 people lost their lives, experienced severe flooding. The girls were saying it was a rushing river. At the nearby Presbyterian Mo Ranch Assembly Camp, facilities manager was awake around 1 a.m. Even as these dramas were unfolding, many of the key leaders in Kirk County were still asleep and had not been alerted to the danger. The survival of people in local camps and low-lying areas in many cases depended not on official evacuations, but on whether they were paying attention on their own to weather alerts in the middle of the night. This came at night when many people were asleep and in bed, Kerrville's Mayor Joe Herring Jr. Said at a news conference. He later told CNN that he had not even received a weather alert and was not awakened until 5:30 a.m. Man, I wonder if there's anything recently that has caused weather alerts to be slower.
The deals right now, okay?
Are you investigating whether some of the cuts to the federal government left key vacancies at the National Weather Service or in the emergency coordination?
No, they did not.
They did. I'll tell you, if you look at that, what a situation that all is, and that was really the Biden setup. That was not our setup, but I wouldn't blame Biden for it either. I would just say this is a 100-year catastrophe, and it's just so horrible to watch. I'm planning to visit Texas.
Okay, so let's do a quick dig on Snopes real quick. let's do a quick dig here. After the flood, users online claims that President Donald Trump's administration was ultimately to blame for the flood's 100 deaths due to staffing cuts. The Weather Service issued a series of timely alerts, a flood watch early in the afternoon, a flash flood warning at 1:14, a flash flood emergency at 4:03, before any in-person reports of flooding had even been received. Communicating the warnings to the public was made more difficult because the flooding happened in the middle of the night in an area without a robust emergency communication system. Also, it was the 4th of July weekend when many people who weren't local residents, meaning they may have had less knowledge of the flash flood warning risks, were present. Trump's cuts did affect staffing at 2 Weather Service offices in charge of the affected area. An agency spokesperson told Snopes via email that both offices, though, were fully staffed at the time of the floods. Okay. So what I would like to do is throw this at Trump's feet, because it's the easiest thing in the world to do. But it seems more likely that the biggest culprit here is happenstance. The biggest culprit here seems to be happenstance. Let's see here. CEI said the Weather Service continues to move staffers around on temporary and permanent assignments to fill the roles in the office with greatest operational need. Additionally, a targeted number of permanent mission-critical field positions will soon be advertised under an exception to the department-wide hiring freeze to further stabilize frontline operations. Okay, well, that's interesting. Because that sounds a little more like they don't have the right people in the right positions at those jobs right now. So we don't have enough information to 100% throw this at Trump's feet. But Charlie Kirk seems to believe, with his tiny, tiny brain, that the actual culprit is black people for being hired as black. That seems to be what's really going on here. That's what it is. It's not operational staffing being cut. It's not the happenstance of everybody being asleep and there being a lot of tourists and all kinds of things layered on top of one another. It's not the fact that this was happening in a remote rural location that had less access to emergency services and emergency shoutouts. It wasn't any of that. Nope. It's because black. Yep, that's what Charlie Kirk wants you to believe. It's because black people. Jet Fatigue has sent something to me that is relevant here. I think we may actually have a culprit in all this. Kristi Noem. That's fantastic. Officials within FEMA who were tasked with responding to widespread disasters like the recent flash flooding in Central Texas have said that the implementation of red tape by Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem hampered the agency's response to the disaster last week and delayed the deployment of the federal search and rescue crews by 72 hours. Unnamed sources inside FEMA reportedly told CNN and the New York Times that new policies, including one that requires Kristi Noem to personally sign off on any spending request over $100,000, slowed responses and removed autonomy from agency employees. Well. Kristi Noem doesn't just kill puppies. She also kills children. That's dumb. In the case of Central Texas floods, search and rescue crews specially trained to respond to catastrophic floods could not be deployed until Kristi Noem personally gave her stamp of approval, which didn't come until more than 72 hours after the flooding began. A request from Texas first responders for aerial imagery from FEMA to help with the state's search and rescue operations was also delayed. Callers are also facing longer wait times at disaster call centers, too, because they have to await Kristi Noem's okay on this shit as well. What kind of a fucking control freak does this shit? My God. Yeah, no, you've got Kristi Noem as the blood of children on her hands. That's just... That's just saddening. Maybe she should be the one eating drywall. Hey, thanks for making it to the end of the video. I really could not do any of this without all of you. Those of you watching, and especially those of you who support me on Patreon. I wanted to go ahead and take a minute to thank all of you who do that, because with YouTube being what it is these days, I really cannot do this full-time without the support from each and every one of you. Those people would be Red Joker, Purple Poundini, Jemshin, Britzkrieg, Jupe the Malignant, Michael, Ravalern, Mabbity Babbity, Astral Frontier, Tales of Atonement, Nixie Chan, Kiri Artemis, Limor Pinku, Love Bunny Games, Victorian Alchemist, I'm not saying the last part of that, and you know that, Aurora, Leela Ururaka, Arcton Arclacier, Kiratorian, Dren Hadamata, Jordan M, John L, Lord Bleck, Smiling Game Master, and Fireshard. Thank you so very much. But since you're here, why not go ahead and try watching another one? There should be one that's on the screen right now. And if you are a patron of mine, I wanted to go ahead and thank you again for all of your support. There is still a video you could press though, if you'd like. I would appreciate it just a little bit.